my listeners. Thank you for tuning in. This is my experience of my trip from Las Vegas. You all know that at the end of the year, I go to celebrate in Sin City for all of my achievements. Well, this year I celebrated completing my master's, earning my certification as a positive psychology practitioner, and releasing a new book, A Generation of Nya, earning me a golden pen from her publisher. My husband was a nominee for Milwaukee School of Engineering's Alumni Wall of Distinction in May. We are both very proud of each other and look forward to another great 2025. On Friday, our flight was scheduled to leave Memphis Airport at 4 p.m., and we were connecting a flight in Atlanta at 7. We were delayed about 10 minutes, and it really forced us to really run to catch our next flight. We literally ran like crazy from gate G to gate F. When we got there, they were already pre-boarding, and then guess what happens? We're on the plane. First pilot officer forgets he's supposed to be flying, and while we're all on the plane, we have to sit for 2 hours for him to arrive. This put arriving in Las Vegas not at 9 p.m. as planned, but 11 p.m. We were not happy, but we didn't let it get the worst of us. I finished the Family Stone while waiting and got me into the holiday spirit. We arrived in Las Vegas, went to get our rental car, and went to our rooms only to discover that while we booked a king with a south view, they gave us a queen with no view. All day, right? This is at Horseshoe, y'all. So you can bet I was pretty upset about that. I wrote them a review about it too. You can go read that on how they messed me up. I cleansed the room and we were pretty tired, so we showered and went to bed. Day 1. We drove 2.5 hours to tour Cathedral Gorge State Park. You must tour this place if you are in Vegas. It's huge, gorgeous. It's a photographer's dream. And you can even challenge yourself to see how you can fit into the caves. How far in can you go? The weather was a low 60s when we arrived, and I just wore a jean dress. Tons of compliment, by the way. My yes closet is a cellar, and my army boots. My husband had his winter coat. Smart. And I wanted to be Zhongguo, so I went like I did. But after hiking the trail and the afternoon sun got high, it got really warm. Way up high, where the wind blew across the gorge, I heard the whispers of the natives singing to me. This place had energies of freedom, just singing across with the wind, never lacking in spirit of determination. Up high, it whispered to me, if you have not dreamed, you have not lived. And if you have not lived, you will have nothing to dream about. And I felt tears prick my eyes, because at that very moment, when I looked up at the sky, I asked, Mom, Dad, do you see me? I dreamed 1,000 dreams, and I wrote my name across the sky in the language the tall man understood. Here I stand, Mom and Dad. Do you see me? And I heard my mother's voice whisper, Mì Mai, nè rong xie chop le mo. The gorge is beautiful and full of dreams. Walk the path. Listen and hear the visions that beats inside your heart come to life. Dream, live. We had dinner at Fogo de Chao to celebrate our successes together. We came back to the Strip and went to do our tour of Sin City. The city itself never sleeps, so no matter what hour you arrive at, you will always find it's full of life. The energy was wild as it always is, and left me feeling unbalanced at certain corners. The following day, we drove 2.5 hours to Zion National Park, where we hiked to Emerald Pool. It was a gut-wrenching hike, leaving me to test myself in breathing, and the entire time, my guides were yelling at me. You could do this when you were 6 months pregnant, and now you suddenly can't? Weak sauce. I yelled at them to shut up. They wouldn't stop talking smack at me for complaining. But up there, the world is huge. And they were right. I did a more strenuous hike at 6 months pregnant and achieved it. This should be a piece of cake. Zion has an energy that reminds you about how small you really are, and that humility thrives in everything you see, do, and touch. You are really just one part of the entire human spectacle, and everything else has a story yet to be written. The climb up and down was quite a workout. I had a blister on my foot and literally was limping back to the car. That night, we had dinner at Lotus of Siam. It was pretty good food. But the scariest encounter happened on our way to Zion in a town called Hurricane, where we stopped for gas at the Chevron. I had to pee badly, and as soon as I opened the door, I was met with a buzzing and dying light. I reached to turn it off and on, hoping it would shine brighter. Nothing changed, and the sink looked like it was 1,000 years old with a faded and dripping faucet. There were 2 bathroom stalls with doors wide opened, and I knew I was alone as far as human. But in spirit, I knew I was not. As the bathroom door closed and the light buzzed, I heard her clearing her throat. And my eyes wandered over to the last stall, and through the halfway door, I saw a pair of white hands and feet slowly moving back to hide. Then long black strands fell to the ground, and I hurried to the bathroom to pee and get out. As I sat in there, she kept clearing her throat like something was caught in the back of it. And my guide said, "Find a spot on the door to focus and pee, and then get out of here while we hide your footprints." I found this stain on the door, and my eyes zoomed in on it as the sound of her throat clearing came closer and closer to my stall. "Don't look anywhere else," my guides warned me. "Look at the same spot." My heart was pounding as I heard what sounded like bare feet across the pavement, and I knew she was walking toward me. And you know those dang times where your pee just don't stop coming? Yep, that was that time. When I finally finished and flushed, I opened the door, and whatever it was rushed back into the last stall, and the door slightly swung and the toilet flushed. And as I reached for the faucet to wash my hands, I heard her throat clearing again, and the door began to squeak. I bolted out of there so quick, and I could see it clear as day, an old, fragile woman with barely a dress over her body with sparse, thin graying hair that was mixed with black strands walk out of the last stall, and I heard my guides chanting a spell behind me as I hurried to the car. My husband came back, and I said, "That gas station was freaky." He said it was crappy, and I said, "No, as in it's freaky like I saw something in the bathroom." His hand stopped for a split second before he continued buckling the belt and just went, "Oh." Y'all, that was by far the most chilling experience I'd ever had. I have no idea who it was, but you for sure can guess that it tried to come after me and appeared in my dreams that night. I had no intention of speaking to it, and the laughter and the throat clearing it did while I was ignoring it lasted up until 5 a.m. in the morning when the sunlight broke through. I had to do some major detoxing spiritually myself. The next day, we drove to Red Rock Canyon, and my heart was already singing. They welcomed me with open arms and asked, "Sister Redskin, you have been gone so long. 2 years you went away and didn't return. Look at how the land before you has changed. See how the world has shifted, and how the tall man who walks upon us has brought stories to bleed on the land." And as I began to cry, I heard the sounds of drums, and they whispered, "When your knees have bled through the dirt, and you find the courage to stand one day, you never go down to kneel again." And I just started crying as I walked up on the rocks to sit and listen. And they whispered, "When someone hates you, they will use that hate against you in any way possible. But their hate is their weakness. Look, right there. Hate will always be low and never grow, while when you learn to love, you lift yourself up higher than the sky itself. Hate does nothing to you but teaches you to never love what is different from you." And I just started crying because reflecting back on my journey, I realized they were right. Those who hate you will always remain lower than you. We took the hike to Calico Tanks, and when we went under a certain bush-like area, I heard the growl of a four-legged animal behind me. Right at that moment, my husband was busy taking pictures, and I was up ahead of him. My guide said, "Keep going, stay on the path. If you don't approach it, it will remain in its shadow." I was terrified. But we went up the mountain, and on our way back, my husband said, "Let's go to that small trail and see where it leads." And I said, "No, stay on the trail." It wasn't until we were back in the car that I told him about the mountain lion. Valley of Fire was temporarily closed, so we couldn't visit, but we toured Hoover Dam and Lake Mead. There were many energies at Lake Mead, and oddly singing of long life sort of whispered through the waves of lives cut too soon. When we drove back to the hotel, I booked us tickets to see the Real Bodies exhibit. It was more sad than it was scary. There is a hallway that is lit with candles that did freak me out a bit because I was unsure of what was at the end of the hall. But I went anyways, and it was all about death. Through touring that place, I saw a set of lungs that had cancer. It was all black. And I wanted to cry because my mother had died of lung cancer. I thought, looking at that, how much pain my mother must have been through. But through the entire exhibit, when I came close to those real bodies, it wasn't scary. It was more sentimental because a message that came through the bodies asked me, "Do you now appreciate what you have inside of you? I donated this so you could see what you forget to be grateful for every single day." It left me stunned, honestly, and made me appreciate the simplicity of being able to just breathe. My trip overall this time was a beautiful one, as it always is. Lots of tears shed, and I know I will need to do more traveling, to hear more stories to share, to learn, and to witness. And I will take you with me every step of the way. Thank you for watching, listening, and reading. Love and light from the Traveling Shaman.
Mlong ta này kể chỉ sai kiến chỉ san trái, mình chưa đuôn chưa pli nhắm bỏ mình va mi kể bé mà lấy xin chi rồi.